As we all get older, it's really important for us to take care of our hands. So I'm going to talk about a few things you can do to make sure that your hands are working, feeling good, and you can play music, whatever instrument you play, hopefully pain-free for many years to come. One of the most important things you can do as a musician is warm up before you play, especially playing hand drums, because of the impact involved. And if you use a stick, it's not quite as bad, although it's still important. But if you're striking drums, congas, bongos, djembe, these kind of full impact drums where you're moving from your elbow, if you're doing finger drumming, like frame drums, even darbuka, rick, pandero, it's not, quite as high impact, so you can get away with maybe not warming up as much. But when you're doing congas, djembe especially, bongos, and especially if you're outside or if it's just cold wherever you are, inside or outside, if you're cold and you're doing these high impact drums, you need to warm up. So what do? I've made videos on this. I'm not going to go through it all now, but just warm up your hands, however you want to do it. You can do it just with your hands. You can drum on a tabletop. And then when you go to the drum, make sure that you start off with gentle, easy actions like bass tones. Great to just warm up on basses, and then go to open tones. So you go a little bit higher in intensity, and then go for high intensity sounds where there's a lot of impact in a small area, like the slap tone. So work your way up, and I recommend doing that anyway, just as part of a practice routine where you're building up tones, going back, working on basics. This isn't just about warming up just to protect your hands. It's also about going back and doing fundamentals, which is good for your playing. Another thing you want to do, of course, is pay attention to when you are playing and monitor any kind of feeling of tension or pain, and then stop or modify. You don't always have to stop, but you could modify what you're doing, simplify it, reduce the impact, just play lighter, thin out your playing a little bit so you're not striking the drum as much, and there's ways to do that. You might want to substitute a tone for a different tone, like substitute an open tone for slaps in certain places where it works. If you're at a rehearsal, you don't have to play slaps all the time. Just go easy, play basses and opens, and play the slaps lighter, or just kind of ghost the slaps, to go easier on yourself. You could also, when you're practicing, or even in some rehearsal, environment, use sort of a modification or a device like put some cloth over the top of your drum, play on a rubber pad, like a thin neoprene pad on top of your drum. Do some things that will help save your hands. A long time ago, I actually created hand drumming gloves that were sold through Vic Firth. They're no longer available, but you can get workout gloves. Just get weightlifter gloves or cycling gloves that have some padding cushion on there. Try some different gloves out, but I really liked having gloves, especially for that warm-up period. If it's cold, you want to warm up, put the gloves on. I even know a couple of percussionists that would play with gloves on, and you could do fingerless gloves. You could even do gloves that completely cover your hands. Try it out. It might work for you. We use gloves for a lot of activities, including riding bicycles, lifting weights, gardening. Why not hand drumming? I know it seems odd, but why not? Protect yourself, protect your hands, feel good. I want you to play for a longer period of time. So if you get a little bit of hate from the people who are like, you shouldn't be playing conga drums with gloves on, they don't have to wear gloves if they don't want to, but if it works for you, by all means, do it. It doesn't actually affect the sound that much in a negative way. And in fact, if you made some modifications to full hand gloves, maybe it would even enhance your sound, or you could create a different kind of sound. There's lots of ways to be creative and protect yourself at the same time. All right, in addition to modifying how you warm up, how you play, what you play, and using any kind of assistive devices, if you have pain, of course, stop and rest. Ice is a good remedy for getting blood flow to an area. You can alternate ice and heat. And then I'm not a huge fan of, I'm a little even skeptical of some of these topical creams and lotions, but I do have one here I want to show you that was recommended to me by my doctor, and I got some and I've used it, and you know, we never really know what would have happened if we didn't use it. I guess I could do an experiment because I have a little bit of arthritis pain in my thumbs and my index fingers, my little fingers, you know, depending on what I'm doing, it'll kind of flare up. And so if that happens, I will use some of this lotion. I just worked on my car yesterday, and last night I put some of this cream on. So here's what it is. It's called Voltaren. It looks like this. There's the overhead view. That's a big tube. So I got this. It's topical. You know, I'm always a little skeptical of topical, you know, creams and lotions that are supposed to go inside your finger and do something in the joint. I'm just skeptical of that. But I haven't had negative results from it. It seems to help. I don't know what the science is behind it. You know, it's just off the shelf kind of thing. You could try that and see what the results are. I have known some percussionists, you know, from back in the day who used to get cortisone shots for different kinds of pain. I don't recommend that. It's a little more extreme. In the extreme case, also, you're looking at surgery possibly, but that's probably just to avoid pain. That's not going to help your playing. So start with your strategies, your technique. Be smart. Don't smack the drum if it's really cold in the morning. You go out there. You know, I've had some gigs where I had to go out and play in the morning outside, and it was cold, and that is a time where you just have to be really careful, and you might have to say no. You might have to say, I can't play under these conditions. Sorry, my hands are more important to me than doing this one gig or playing for 5 minutes. You know, find a workaround, find another solution, or warm up, wear some mittens, do whatever you need to do. But take care of yourself first. That's number one. If then you do get some conditions that you need to manage, you want to mitigate pain, then you're going to go into defense mode, do the modifications, adaptations, and medications if you need to. All right? I hope this helps. If it does, give it a thumbs up. Add your kind and helpful comments below. And for more, see me at patreon.com/Kalani. This is World Drum Club. I'm Kalani Das. Thanks for watching.